10 years ago, we embarked on a mission to revive the true values of Islam within our community. Empowered by the faith and dedication of our volunteers and your endless support, our projects impacted the lives of tens of thousands in our community and beyond. Since day one, our effort was recognized as one being led by the youth, and the youth have always been at the center of our focus. Our goal was and remains to instill Islamic values that enlighten the young generation, strengthen their identity, and empower them to become successful. But as the times we are in become more challenging every day, and our values are consistently under attack, we cannot stand still, and having a facility that allows for bigger and better projects became a necessity. Alhamdulillah, today, Taha Foundation, the parent organization of the Ashura project, and Al-Mustafa Scouts is pleased, honored, and excited to announce the next milestone in our journey. As of May 5th, we have completed the purchase of the upcoming Taha Foundation Community Center, a 48,000 square foot facility that has the amenities we need to improve and expand our programs, including a lecture hall, classrooms, a gym, and a spacious outdoor gathering area. While we are able to secure the purchase of this building, a lot of work is still required to transform it into the state-of-the-art facility that serves our needs in the most effective and efficient way possible. Today, more than ever, and for the sake of our kids and families, we're asking for your support in raising the funds needed for this project. Our fundraising target is $580,000 that will go towards renovations, repairs, furniture, and equipment. Your contribution, no matter how small, will make a significant difference. Join us as we embark on the next stage of our journey. With Allah's guidance and your support, we can empower the next generation of leaders and build a better future for our youth. Donate today. "10 years ago, we embarked on a mission to revive the true values of Islam within our community. Empowered by the faith and dedication of our volunteers and your endless support, our projects impacted the lives of tens of thousands in our community and beyond. Since day one, our effort was recognized as one being led by the youth, and the youth have always been at the center of our focus. Our goal was and remains to instill Islamic values that enlighten the young generation, strengthen their identity, and empower them to become successful leaders in the future. But as the times we are in become more challenging every day, and our values are consistently under attack, we cannot stand still, and having a facility that allows for bigger and better projects became a necessity. Alhamdulillah, today, Taha Foundation, the parent organization of the Ashura project, and Al-Mustafa Scouts is pleased, honored, and excited to announce the next milestone in our journey. As of May 5th, we have completed the purchase of the upcoming Taha Foundation Community Center, a 48,000 square foot facility that has the amenities we need to improve and expand our programs, including a lecture hall, classrooms, a gym, and a spacious outdoor gathering area. While we are able to secure the purchase of this building, a lot of work is still required to transform it into the state-of-the-art facility that serves our needs in the most effective and efficient way possible. Today, more than ever, and for the sake of our kids and families, we're asking for your support in raising the funds needed for this project. Our fundraising target is $580,000 that will go towards renovations, repairs, furniture, and equipment. Your contribution, no matter how small, will make a significant difference. Join us as we embark on the next stage of our journey. With Allah's guidance and your support, we can empower the next generation of leaders and build a better future for our youth. Donate today.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم على حب الزهراء صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أقم الصلاة لدلوك الشمس إلى غسق الليل وقرآن الفجر إن قرآن الفجر كان مشهودا. ومن الليل فتهجد به نافلة لك عسى أن يبعثك ربك مقاما محمودا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أقم الصلاة لدلوك الشمس إلى غسق الليل وقرآن الفجر أقم الصلاة لدلوك الشمس إلى غسق الليل وقرآن الفجر إن قرآن الفجر كان مشهودا ومن الليل فتهجد به نافلة لك عسى أن يبعثك ربك مقاما محمودا وقل رب أدخلني مدخل صدق وأخرجني مخرج صدق واجعلني من لدنك سلطانا نصيرا وقل رب أدخلني مدخل صدق وأخرجني مخرج صدق واجعلني من لدنك سلطانا نصيرا وقل جاء الحق وزهق الباطل وقل جاء الحق وزهق الباطل إن الباطل كان زهوقا الله أكبر ولله الحمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله أكبر ولله الحمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا. ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا. فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره. فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان توابا. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات.
صلى على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. Peace and blessings be upon Hussein and Ali, the son of Hussein, and the children of Hussein and the companions of Hussein. Our respected scholar, Sheikh Mahdi Rastani, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We would like to welcome you all to the 7th night of the Ashura Project English program. Tonight, we commemorate the brave and loyal soldier of the Imam of his time, his brother, the moon of Banu Hashim, Maulana Abul Fadl al-Abbas alayhi salam. Through these majalis, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept all our deeds and bring us closer to the Imam of our time, Ajjalallah ta'ala farajahu al-sharif. Allahumma arifni nafsak, فإنك إن لم تعرفني نفسك لم أعرف رسولك. O Allah, introduce yourself to me. For if you do not introduce yourself to me, I will not recognize your messenger صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم عرفني رسولك فإنك إن لم تعرفني رسولك لم أعرف حجتك. O Allah, make me recognize your messenger, because if I do not recognize your messenger, I will not recognize your proof or the Imam. اللهم عرفني حجتك فإنك إن لم تعرفني حجتك ضللت عن ديني. O Allah, make me recognize your proof, for if you do not make me recognize your proof, I will deviate from my religion. Seeking knowledge is a duty of every Muslim. We have been blessed during these nights to have Sheikh Mahdi share his knowledge. Let us please welcome him with 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
One more loud salawat, please. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغه مدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعماءه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون الذي لا يدركه بعد الهمم ولا يناله غوص الفطن الذي ليس لصفته حد محدود ولا نعت موجود ولا وقت معدود ولا أجل ممدود. أما بعد، فقد قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. ألم يأن للذين آمنوا أن تخشع قلوبهم لذكر الله وما نزل من الحق ولا يكونوا كالذين أوتوا الكتاب من قبل فطال عليهم الأمد فقست قلوبهم وكثير منهم فاسقون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات اللهم صل. For the love of our beloved Prophet and his beloved progeny, a second loud salawat. Allahumma salli. For the hastening in the return of our beloved 12th Imam, a third final loud salawat. Allahumma salli. Last night we continued with the discussion on the topic of Islam's take on music, and we discussed the different rulings of our maraji'. We said that whether or not something is haram for us to listen to, a type of music is haram to listen to, does not depend on whether or not it is going to have a negative effect on me personally. My personal experience when it comes to a piece of music is not the determining factor. Hence you find in the rulings of our scholars, they will tell you that the type of music that within society is typically seen as lahwi music, is typically seen as the type of music that is used in haram gatherings, is haram for you and I to listen to, regardless of whether we feel the negative impact that it might have on us or not. The reality is, many times when you and I listen to some of the music that's out there, even if you picture the worst type of music, if you were to listen to it for 4, 5, 6, 10, 15 times, after a while it might even lose all of its effect and impact. There's many times we might have experienced you're listening to a type of music and after 5 minutes you're not even paying attention to what the singer is even saying anymore. Therefore, that is not the factor that determines for us what type of music is considered halal and what type of music is considered haram. Rather, one needs to see within society, do typically people consider this music to be lahwi or not? And we said in situations where someone might have a doubt as to whether this music is played in such gatherings or not, though the ruling of the maraji is that technically it is allowed to listen to that type of music, it is one of those places where it is great for one to take precaution in that situation. And that is because fundamentally music is a very slippery slope. Before you know it, this music has become normal for you. And if you want to invoke your emotions a little bit deeper this time, you need a more faster type of music, and faster, and so on and so forth. And beyond that, we said that listening to music and producing music, the haram type of it, the Quran tells us, and the narrations of the Ahlul Bayt tell us as well, that in reality listening to haram music is not just a sin, rather it is a major sin. It is a kabira from the kaba'ir of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hence you find in the religion of Islam, Islam never tried to mix music with any of its religious rituals. You will be hard pressed to find within Islam any religious ritual where music is accompanied alongside this ritual. And we said that though this ruling might seem harsh for us, might seem difficult for us to abide by, but when we fall short, you are dealing with Arhamur Rahimin, you're dealing with the most merciful of all merciful people, and that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And hence we went through the story of the neighbor of Abu Basir, who his whole life had lived a life of sin, but in the final moments of his life, in the final days of his life, came back to the right path. And Imam as-Sadiq guaranteed for him entering into heaven. Tonight, inshallah, we'll continue with this topic by posing the following questions. Number one, what are the 8 categories of hadith that relate to the topic of music? The 8 categories of narrations that we have from Ahlul Bayt as it relates to what they had to say on the topic of music and singing. Number 2, why would the Ahlul Bayt refer to music as a means of batil and falsehood? What's the philosophy behind this? Number 3, when the companion of Imam as-Sadiq asked him about times where he listens to haram music while he is passing by a place. He's not the one who's put together the party. He's also not attending that party. He is simply passing by that gathering. How did Imam as-Sadiq react to him? And what did Imam as-Sadiq tell him to do to purify him from this sin? Number 4, if Islam considers some music to be haram, does that mean fundamentally Islam has a problem with art and artistic expression? Number 5, is it possible that the nohas, the religious songs, the latmiyas that nowadays we hear are also moving in that direction of songs that are not necessarily pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Ahlul Bayt? Number 6, is the music industry today only in the business of producing music? Or is it the fact that when you listen to the music of the singer or rapper or musician, in reality you are consuming a cultural product? And number 7, and finally, which observant Muslim was there who walked away from a full career in the rock and roll genre of music and decided to set it all aside because of his faith? Tonight, inshallah, we'll delve into these 7 questions with a loud salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli. Before we continue, I think there's a little bit of echo on the mic. If we can turn that down, inshallah. One more loud salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Last night we started discussing that the measuring stick that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted to us is a very basic measuring stick. It is a very simple measuring stick. This is not a measuring stick that should make it difficult for us to realize what type of music is haram and what type of music is halal. One more loud salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. The type of music that is considered haram, that is considered forbidden in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that type that is typically played in these haram gatherings. This is, of course, the ruling of Ayatollah Sistani, for example. Ayatollah Khamenei's ruling is a little bit different from this. He will tell you the type of music that typically within society people see it as lahwi music. This music is haram. But in reality, if you were to apply both of these rules and both of these rulings, you'd pretty much come out with the same result, because fundamentally, the type of music that people see as lahwi in society is the type of music that they would play in haram gatherings. Therefore, on a practical level, these rulings are not going to make too much of a difference for us. We said when you come across a piece of music, you shouldn't take you too long to figure out, is this music haram or halal, or am I in doubt for which there is a specific ruling? To clarify, this doesn't mean every type of music that comes your way, you can sit there and say, well, I don't know, do they play this in haram gatherings or not? So this young brother, he's moving on with life, and then he listens to this music and he's wondering, I don't know, the music that Drake produces, is this haram or is this not haram? I have doubts about, no habibi, that one's haram, I'm sorry to break it to you. There are certain types of music, the moment you look at it, the singer, the rapper, the musician, whoever you want to call them, the environments that they attend, the places that they go, immediately you can tell that this type of music is haram music. Yes, there might be some moments where some types of music fall within that gray area. But at the end of the day, you and I cannot trick ourselves. And this is because the Ahlul Bayt took the topic of music very seriously. So when you look into their narrations, you find 8 categories of narrations discussing what the Ahlul Bayt had to say about the topic of music. The first of these categories is the idea that the Ahlul Bayt said on multiple occasions that ghina and lahwi music is a type of batil and falsehood. This man came to the 8th Imam, Imam al-Rida. He said, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, I've heard that you don't have a problem with music and singing. Now, of course, ghina, if you want to be very technical, is mainly referring to the singing, but almost all the scholars will tell you that the music also falls under the same category. He said, I've heard you don't have a problem with this. He said, whoever's told you this is lying. What I said was the exact opposite. I said that my great-grandfather, Imam al-Baqir, someone came to him and asked him, what is your opinion regarding ghina? What is your opinion regarding haram singing and music? He told that person, if you were to separate the affairs of this world into good things and bad things, you were to separate the affairs of this world into haqq and batil, where would you put ghina and this lahwi type of music? To which that man responded, of course, I would put it on the side of batil and falsehood. And Imam al-Baqir said, this is enough for you then. And you already know what I think about this. And hence you find in multiple narrations, the Ahlul Bayt said, this ghina, this lahwi music is batil, it is falsehood. But why the Ahlul Bayt emphasizing so much? It's not based on reality, there's no truth to it. Because this music that we listen to, brothers and sisters, as we talked about in the first night, has the power to create an illusion in the life of the human being. Music has that power that's able to make you feel like your surroundings are changing and your life is changing, where in reality, nothing is changing. Nothing's improving. If you go a little bit deeper into it, and for those who remember the definition we mentioned for music, we said music is putting together these sounds to invoke emotions within the human being, yes? Okay, so when you listen to this music, pay attention, this is a delicate point. When you listen to this music, emotions are invoked. Sometimes happiness, sometimes sadness, sometimes other emotions. When these emotions are invoked, what's the end purpose of these emotions? What's the end goal? So you invoked all these emotions within yourself so that what happens? There's no end goal. There's no end purpose. Entertainment. So you stirred up the emotions within yourself so that what happens? Nothing. Sometimes you're just sitting in your car, you're going somewhere. So you're putting yourself and your soul through this without any purpose at the end of it. This might be the reason why the Ahlul Bayt kept saying, you know what, this ghina, it's batil, it's falsehood, it's not based on reality, nothing's changing around you. You're stirring up your emotions, you're invoking these emotions, but in reality, nothing's happening in reality. So what happens to all of these emotions? Nothing. You're wasting your emotions on nothingness. It's either that, or sometimes the end goal and the end purpose is something negative. Sometimes you'll see people will listen to music, they might get intoxicated, engage with alcohol, just so that they can engage with the opposite gender a little simpler, a little bit more comfortably. Sometimes the end goal, the end purpose is a negative purpose. It's either a negative purpose or there's no end goal at all. Well, this is the definition of batil. This is the definition of falsehood. There's no truth and reality behind it. Someone might say, well, Shaykh, we invoke emotions all the time. We're sitting here in the majlis of Imam al-Hussein. We're wearing black. The brother comes. He does his azah. He does the majlis. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless our dear brother Hassan. And he does it. Emotions are invoked. I thought you're saying invoking emotions is not the best. No, emotions, when they are invoked for the right reason, is the best thing you can possibly do. If I come to the majlis and I invoke these emotions and there's no end goal, I'm just crying for the sake of crying. I'm just getting sad for the sake of getting sad. Well then yes, that also is not so valuable in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if you come and you invoke that sadness so that when you leave, you walk in the footsteps of your imam a little bit more, then you have an end goal and you have an end purpose. There's a reason behind it. Then this becomes a matter of haqq, and becomes a matter of truth, becomes a matter of reality, because you're headed somewhere with these emotions. There are times Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to be sad, but for a purpose. There's times Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to be happy, but for a purpose. There are times Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to be firm, but for a purpose. Does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ever tell you and I just to invoke our emotions just for the heck of it and for the fun of it? No. This is a waste of your emotions. This is a waste of your mental energy. Hence you find the Ahlul Bayt constantly, they said what? Ghina, this is batil. It's a play on your emotions. It's not going anywhere. Nothing is changing in your life. Then you continue with them. The second category of narrations are those that don't say you're not supposed to produce haram music. Forget about that. We already know that's terrible. Not even that you're supposed to go to the gathering and sit there and listen. This also we know is clearly a problem. The second category is narrations where the Imam told his companions, listen, if you're passing by a place, even if you hear the music, don't listen to it. This is, of course, all in the context of haram music we're talking, yes? Even if you come across it, even if you hear the music, don't listen to it. Some of you might be wondering, what's the difference between hearing and listening? There's some of you right now, you guys are just hearing the lecture, yes? You're not listening. So this is the difference, actively listening. So the companion of the sixth Imam, Abu Basir again, he comes. He says, I was with the sixth Imam, someone else came, another companion came. He said, Ya Aba Abdullah, referring to the sixth Imam, I live in my house. The bathroom, the restroom is outdoors. It's not in the house the way we have it built nowadays, yes? On my way out towards the bathroom, towards the restroom, whenever I leave, I have a neighbor. He holds parties and gatherings and so on and so forth. So while I'm heading towards this kanif, as the narration says, I take my time. I go a little bit slower. Yes? I slow down a little bit. Why? Because I want to enjoy the atmosphere. I want to enjoy this music that he's playing. Ya Ibn Rasulullah, is this a problem? Look at what the sixth Imam said. He said, La taf'al, don't do that. He said, Yabna Rasulallah, innahu sama'un. It's just, I'm just hearing it. Yani, I'm not going and attending. Ma huwa shay'un atihi birijlayya. It's not something I'm going to sit in that gathering with my own 2 feet. I'm not part of the gathering. It's my neighbor. He's holding I'm just listening on my way. The Imam said, haven't you heard the verse of the Quran? Inna as-sam'a wal basara wal fu'ada kullu ulaika kana anhu mas'ula. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold you accountable to every limb and organ that you have. It's not just about you attending. He will ask your ears too. He said, Yabna Rasulullah, I've heard of this verse, but it's almost as if it never clicked for me. I won't do this anymore. He repented on the spot. He said, I won't do this anymore. You know what Imam Sadiq told him? Look at how much of a big deal Imam Sadiq makes out of this. Look at how much of a small deal you and I would make out of something like this. Imam Sadiq told him, Qum, get up, faghtasil, go and do ghusl. Purify yourself. وَصَلِّ مَا بَدَى لَكَ. And then go and do a couple prayers. Mustahab prayers. Then the Imam continued. He says, مَا أَسْوَأَ حَالَكَ. How terrible of a situation it would have been if your life would have taken in those moments. And this is how you would have ended up meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَحْمَدillah. Go and thank God that the end of your life didn't come in those moments. Then he said a line. It's very beautiful. I want you to pay attention to this line. The Imam said, continues a couple more lines. He says, don't go after these qabih actions, these immoral actions. Da'hu li ahlih. Leave these sins for the one who's not a believer. Leave it for the one who's not Muslim. Leave it for the one who doesn't have this framework in his life. Leave it for the one who's not expressing his faith every day. That's not for you. One of the most baffling things you will ever see within our communities is a young Muslim man or a young Muslim woman who's been blessed with Islam, who's been blessed with this amazing framework to life. But then sometimes you look at their life and they're living life almost desperate to live life like a non-Muslim. And the irony just kills you. You're like, but you've been blessed with something so amazing other people don't have. Other people are lost in their lives. And then you're trying to mimic them. You're trying to live life like them. Other people, if they knew what you had, they would want to beg God to have what you have. This religion, this framework, this worldview that you have, Imam al-Hussein that you have, people would die to have something like this if they got their hands on it and they knew what it was. And then you see this young man and woman, they live their life almost desperate to do things the way, for example, their non-Muslim friends are doing things. Leave that for the non-Muslims. A non-Muslim's never been exposed to your faith. A non-Muslim, if he shows up on the Day of Judgment and he says, I was intoxicated, for example, I listened to this music, this, that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to treat him with His mercy. He was never exposed to any. Leave it for him. You're a believer. You wear black for Imam al-Hussein. Where are you going? Why are you wasting your time waiting in line for hours to get into this concert? That's not your place. Imam Sadiq said, Da'hu li ahlih. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. Leave that for its people. The people who are into these things, the people who have this type of lifestyle, everyone chooses how they want to live their lifestyle. Imam Sadiq told him, you're a believer, you're not supposed to be going after these things. This is a message for you and I. This is category number 2. Recite a salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. You move on to category number 3. The Imam said ghina is the worst of sounds that the human being can produce. Multiple narrations under this chapter. Number 4, narrations in which teaching ghina and learning ghina is considered forbidden. When you get to the end of these narrations, you realize the Imams, when it came to haram music, they kept full distance from it. They didn't even want to get close to it. Category number 5, the money that's made through buying and selling the singers of the time of the Prophet and the Imams. We mentioned at the beginning of these lectures that at that time everything of course was done live. You would buy a singer, the singer would come to your house, or pay a singer, come to your house, and they would sing. This person was referred to typically as a mughanni or a mughanniyah. This man came to one of the Imams, he said, Ya ibn Rasulullah, there's a companion of yours, he's making a lot of money. Very wealthy. He has mughanniyat. He has purchased a lot of women who come and sing. This is his means of income. And he has placed thulthuha laka. A third of it he put for you. He set that aside for you. And Imam al-Kadhim turned around and said, La hajata li fiha. I don't need that money. I don't need that money that's coming from haram singing and haram music. They kept their distance from this issue. Category number 6, they said, listen, when you're reciting Quran, don't recite Quran the way the people who are corrupt sing their songs. You can have rhythm, you can do it beautifully, all of this is completely fine, yes? But don't take the Quran and then recite it the way corrupt songs are recited. We're going to come back to this one a little bit later in the talk. Number 7, the narrations where they said if you engage in ghina, you will forget about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This one is very clear for us because it's lahwi at the end of the day. And number 8, the effects that happens to a house where ghina is played in that house. Where the narration says Baytul Ghina, a place that becomes accompanied by ghina, constantly haram music is being played. The Imam said, La tu'manu fihi al-faji'a. You are not protected from calamities, difficulties, bala. This house is more likely to receive bala. You know, there's many things you and I might do on a daily basis that makes it less likely for bala to come. You pray, you fast, you give sadaqah, kindness to parents. These are all things that make it less likely for any calamity to come down. Then there are things that essentially undo the effects of these deeds. The Imam said, ghina is one of those. لا تؤمن فيه الفجيعة. Number 1, ولا تجاب فيه الدعوة, and the dua of this person is not responded to. And number 3, ولا يدخله الملك, and the angels don't enter that house. All of these narrations put together, you find Ahlul Bayt kept their distance from this haram music. Someone looks at this and says, Shaykh, it seems like the Ahlul Bayt and Islam have a problem with arts. Music is one of the long-standing arts of the world. Why do they have a problem with art? No, Islam doesn't have a problem with art. The Ahlul Bayt encouraged artistic expression. Go look at how they used to treat the poets of their own time. Go look at how much affection they used to show to Farazdaq, to Di'bil, to Kumayt, these people who used to come up with the right type of poetry. Look at how much the Ahlul Bayt showed affection to them. Sometimes they used to give them their own clothing because you're using art to get the right message out there. You're special. You play a unique role. The Imam encouraged these individuals, giving them gifts, sometimes gifts so large. Sometimes Di'bil says, I received a gift, it was so large, I couldn't even take it. The Imam said, no, when we give something, we're not taking it back anymore. The Ahlul Bayt, they encouraged artistic expression. So then why, when it comes to ghina, if you have art that's used for the wrong reasons and for the wrong goals, then yes, Islam definitely has a problem with it. But Shaykh, music is very difficult to develop. It's a very complicated and complex skill. You have to spend time, you have to practice. I understand. No doubt about it. You look at some of the contemporary composers that we have nowadays, sometimes the composition that they do, the music that they produce, the soundtracks that they produce, these are soundtracks, sometimes you listen to them and all of a sudden you feel emotion taking all over you. One soundtrack you listen to, you feel like you're floating in space. That's how powerful it is. Does Islam have a problem or not respect the art of Of course Islam respects the art of these individuals, as long as it's not done for the wrong reasons. Otherwise, if you just take something that's done for the wrong reasons and say, well, it takes a long time to develop this skill, so Islam has to respect it. No, You know what else takes a long time to develop as a skill? Robbing a bank. You don't think that's an art? Based on this definition, it's an art. It's take a long time. Yes? First you have to do this, then you have to do this. Then I won't tell you the steps. The brothers are looking for the steps. I won't tell you the steps. Half of you guys are going to be incarcerated tomorrow. But that's not easy thing to do either. You don't think that's an art? Everything that I'm good at, or for example, it takes a lot of work, a lot of stress. Of course, 100%. But Islam looks at the end goal. The end goal of this is negative. So I don't care if it takes you 1,000,000 years to develop this skill. I have a problem with it. I don't think it's so spectacular. Other forms of art? Absolutely. Don't we have narrations that say, when you come and give adhan with a beautiful voice? Don't we have these narrations? Don't we have these narrations that sometimes we're told other prophets when they used to speak, they had beautiful voices? Don't we have these narrations that when you come and you recite Quran, do it in a beautiful way? What are these? These are artistic expression. Don't we have narrations that say, go and compose poems and poetry about this? And this is artistic expression. Islam's problem is not with arts. Islam's problem is when someone comes and utilizes the arts for the wrong reasons. Now you come to the music industry today. What do you find in the music industry today? You find exactly this. Go look at the music industry today. People who have zero values, they are icons of this industry. I mean, people are fainting to see this guy. This guy can barely get through the day without substance abuse and drugs. He can't even get through the day. But people are drawn, they faint, they scream his name. This is the music industry. The power that it has. I think maybe 10, 12 years ago, I had a trip to Italy. It's a very short trip for a couple lectures, yes? It was around the time of Christmas. I was going from grocery store with my host. We were just grabbing some basic groceries. And as we were in the store, I saw, these are the same stuff we hear back home around this time. But this is Italy. This is a different country altogether. It's a different continent altogether. So you go from this grocery store, you go to another one, same thing. You go to another one, and then it turns out, no, the US and the music industry that it has is an industry of producing culture. This is how culture is mass produced and it is sent out to the four corners of the world. This is what the music industry is today. You think when you listen to that haram music, you're just listening to something for entertainment. No, that is a work and a product of culture that is impacting your culture and your worldview as well. The music industry is not in the business of producing music. It is in the business of producing culture. And here am I wear black, and I come to the Majlis of Imam al-Hussein, and then I want to consume that culture. These don't mesh with each other. The impact of the music industry and of music is so powerful today that now it's even seeping into religious communities. So you find, for example,